Hey, shalom, shalom. Anakna waha ay bar yasha Allah hawalakim la atam. Call shabawai baharacha wa kaksho yahawu bashmi awasha. Hey, we the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awasha to preach to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. Nechamatam kayah malakwath hashemayim korab. Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call layim la Yahweh Bashmi Awasha Bashmi Hakodash Wamashina kabadim zakoiminawa Wamala akim shaw yashala hazakoin rechagada wall. Wachasa washalawam Wabarakim lahabachaya shaka washala shalawam. So all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahashim, in the name Yahweh Shah, He delivers. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Israel, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel. Shalom, which means peace. So I just want to go into the 13th Amendment, which basically, in a nutshell, is how they got free labor out of Jake. You know, how it went from physical slavery, so to speak, how they was getting free labor. You know, they basically came up with an idea to have free labor from, slavery transfer over to getting free labor when you had so-called free Jakes after, slavery was so-called done away with, and they basically put it into the form of getting free labor by having prisoners work in order to help stimulate the economy, so to speak. But let's go into it. It says, what was the 13th Amendment in simple terms? It says, passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865, and ratified on December 6th, 1865. It says, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. It says, Section 1, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Let's go a little bit more into it. It says, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. You see, so you could have slavery or involuntary servitude if you committed a crime, Let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much the point. It says neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except, I'm going to the Wikipedia. So and this is post the war, the Civil War. So it says, though the amendment abolished slavery throughout the United States, some so-called Black Americans, particularly in the South, were subjected to other forms of involuntary labor, such as under the Black Codes, white supremacist violence, and selective enforcement of statutes, as well as other disabilities. All right, and one way they was able to put it in there was through the 13th Amendment, in a nutshell, how they got that free labor, But let's get some precepts, though. This is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. All right. And they used this, the free labor and stuff, on top of the sentencing of a lot of these Jakes, as punishments, and just going into a lot of the cases in history, you know, like if you take like the Central Park Five, and just the different Jakes that was accused of raping rape, and nothing actually happened. You know, they was actually innocent, you see, but Esau takes the liberty upon himself to write these unjust laws, and they're unjust because if someone actually did something in the scriptures, sins is worthy of death. Sins is worthy of death, you would get the death punishment. You wouldn't have to serve these inhumane punishments, you know, on top of the free labor. You know, these are stuff that again, these Edomites have put into play themselves. You know, that's why it says destruction upon them. They're gonna receive that. They gonna take the cup just like we took the cup. But they gonna get it double. You know. Let's go to it's a lot. I'm running back. Isaiah 10:1, it says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and their right grievousness which they have prescribed." All right, and their laws are grievous. You know, they have over 1,000 laws, and if I'm not mistaken, the scriptures only have about 600 something. You know, somewhere around those lines. You know, but they write all these grievous laws, which they came up with by themselves. You know, and a lot of their laws is made to further oppress Jake. You see, let's get a quick precept. This is Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 23. It's a lot. We can go to verse 23. It says, but I will. Verse 22. It says, this is Yashiyah 51 and 22. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashmi Awashah, the Lord, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people, the nation of Yashiyah, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners. It says, behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, you know, because in that cup we got the curses being on the bottom, you know. It says, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury, because the Lord, and the scriptures say the Lord is wroth with his people because we went and committed spiritual adultery, idolatry, you know, served other gods. You know, you go to Jeremiah talks about how Israel, you know, played the harlot and was under every green tree and on every mountain and high hill, roughly paraphrasing. You know, we was into all these different philosophies and you know, what have you. And that's why the Lord was angry with us, because we sinned against him. It says, thou shalt no more drink it again. You see, because after the destruction of Babylon, you know, is the kingdom. You see, 2/3 are going to die on this side, and they're going to be raised up, or they're going to come back in the kingdom. It says, but I will, verse 23, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee. All right, who afflicts us the most? Esau, Edom. You see, Esau afflicts us through his unjust laws. You see, we just got it in Isaiah chapter 10. You know, and this whole system is set up to destroy us. All right. It says, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. You see, so Esau, Edom, you know, the so-called white man has benefited off of us being the foundation of America, Babylon the Great. You know, they benefit off of us keeping us at that lower state. You know, we see that in Judith, the 5th chapter. This is Judith chapter 5, and we'll start at verse 16. Verse 17, it says, and whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High that hated iniquity was with them. You see, so when we was abiding by the law, statutes, and commandments, you know, we prospered. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs, and the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by their enemies. It says, but now are they returned to their power and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Yerushalayim, where the sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against his people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. Let us go up, and we shall overcome them. You see, so when we sinning, when we're in sin, the Lord isn't dealing with us. You see, and the other nations is above us. And these heathens know that. And, that's what they did. That's what they continually do. They place sin out there as stumbling blocks for Jake. You see, because they know that's our kryptonite, so to speak. They know that that's the majority of Jake's stumbling block. That has always been Jake's stumbling block in times past. That's why they always throw it out there. The scriptures say that Esau is a cunning hunter. You see, so he knows what Jake likes. That's why he continually does the same things. All right, but that's essentially showcasing how they lay our body on the ground. So like, I'm gonna read it again. It says, "But I will put into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as a street to them that went over." You see, so that shows how they keep us at that lower state, because by keeping us at that lower state, they're able to forward their enterprise. Let's get another precept, another couple precepts. This is the Holy Gospel of Psalms, chapter 83 and verse 1. It says, "Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head." All right, because they're lifting up their head in that great pride. And we're going to see why. It says, "They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, who are the Israelites, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance." All right. And the cutting off from being a nation was done in part by keeping themselves up high and making Israel stay low. It says, "For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." All right. So all these nations, starting with Esau, Edom, are confederate against the Lord and his anointing. All right. I'm gonna get a couple more. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 2. It says, "And the people shall take them." All right, because this is what happened to us in our various different captivities, you see. And the scriptures say that we were all oppressed together. The northern and the southern kingdom. You see, from Judah, Yahweh, all the way down to Issachar, Yashiyah, which is the so-called Mexican. You see, it says, "And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and shall rule over their oppressors." All right, who is our oppressor in his land? The so-called white man. All right, the so-called white man chiefly, and then his confederation, going down to the rest of these heathens. We can go down to verse 21. It says, "Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers." You see, so Esau Edom got a lot to pay for, because he's the chief corporate. Looking at the laws that he got now, all the way up to forever. They've always had that bitter hatred towards Jake. It's always been in their spirit. But I'm reading back. It says, "Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities." You see, so that's what Esau Edom has to look forward to. All right, let's get another precept. Because I was watching it was the 13th Amendment on Netflix. It just showcases the oppression of Jake, starting from the post-Civil War era to like 2016. It just shows how it was progressive oppression, and the result and how everything was carried out. But, it just showed the oppression of Jake. This is Revelation chapter, chapter 13 and verse 9. It says, if any man have a ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. All right. So it says, if any man have a ear, let him hear, So those that the Spirit is dwelling with. All right. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right. So those that led people into captivity, they will go into captivity. That never happened to the so-called white man. All right. He hasn't paid for his, he hasn't made an account for what he did when he brought us over here. How he has everybody enslaved over here. It says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. And who's blessed with the sword? Esau, even the so-called white man. All right, that's in Genesis. All right, it's also found in Revelation, the 6th chapter. He is that red horse. All right, he was given that great sword. And he kills with the sword every day. And the sword is basically a killing instrument. It says, here's the patience, the long suffering, and the faith of the saints. That's what we are waiting on. You see, we're waiting to see this man in chains. You see, so I brought this out. I was edifying, call her Layim La, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Kakudash. Hey, double honors too. That was an apostle of Israel. That was an apostle of Great Millstone. Mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel. Layla Tawah, which means good night. Shalom, shalom.